Hi, my name is ZaKaiRan, and welcome to another powerful podcast in my Galactic Human series entitled Future Earth for Telepathic Galactic Human Society. Everyone is psychic. Everyone is telepathic. They just don't know it because telepathy is not typically on the class roster. No one practices it unless you go to a psychic class. Most people don't even believe in it, yet they are using their intuition to various degrees every single day. And we see it in the classic cop shows all the time. I've just got a hunch, they call it, rather than call it what it really is, which is telepathy. Mothers call it their intuition, but what they're really having is a psychic knowing. Women tend to be more psychic on average to men, unless, of course, the men are developing it, open to it, only because women tend to be more emotionally connected, and you need to be connected to your emotions for psychic abilities, and especially be in an allowing state rather than a controlling state. And men tend to be more visually oriented, so they, often believe only what they can see. And if you can't see it, well, then it must not be real. Opening up to one's psychic abilities just takes surrender, faith, and trust. And then practice using those senses and practice trusting your knowing without doubting it. We always know when someone is lying to us, but we doubt our own psychic ability and we delude ourselves by their charms. Or we're deluded by stars in our own eyes and our desires for wealth or whatever the shiny thing is, or the scam that appears nice and sweet, that gets us so excited enough to not listen to our own knowing. Plus, we want to trust people. Our natural state of being is trust and love. We want to love and trust people and believe that everyone is a good person. And at everyone's core, they are, but it's helpful in this world to trust one's own intuition, because the naive, trusting person who is disconnected from their psychic abilities and has no street smarts gets taken advantage of. We shouldn't have to hone our psychic abilities so that we don't get scammed, but nevertheless, that's a handy tool on the main streets. But an even better use of psychic abilities is to connect to each other spiritually and telepathically so that we are truly more compassionate and are able to walk in each other's moccasins, so to speak, so that we understand each other better. The best counselor is the one who is psychic and can get in to the head of their client. And especially if you want your client to come with you in a more positive direction. You've got to see where they need to go and sort of guide them in that direction. If people trusted their own psychic abilities and telepathy, there would be a lot less drama in the world, especially in a relationship, because both parties would know what was going on before it even happened. And no one's surprised when one of the other person says, I want to break up. Because if you truly trust your psychic abilities, well, you already know when someone is unhappy, and you already know when they're going to cut you loose. If everyone was more psychic, every life situation would be a heck of a lot easier. Bosses would be better bosses. Employees would be better employees. Business partners would be better business partners. Teachers would be better teachers, because no child would be left behind. And similarly, parents would be better parents, because they would know what is going on in their kids' lives without having to drill them for information. And they would also know when to not badger them at all. And of course, lovers would be better lovers. They would know what their lovers want in life and in the bed, and they would know when to stay away and give them space to go through whatever inner turmoil they need to process, and when not to stay away, because they need a sensitive ear to bend and they need a pat on the back. If everyone was more telepathic, unscrutable politicians would not get elected. and corrupt business people wouldn't be put in positions of power and control. But liars are usually pretty good at deluding us. And people are easily fooled when they're disconnected from their telepathy. My mother would never trusted my best buddy post-college, who was a really fun and wild guy, but he used to steal things from people, including people he knew well, and her psychic intuition was right on about him. My girlfriend knew immediately when I fooled around on her because she was so bloody psychic. Never fool around on a psychic partner. It's just too bad that she wasn't connected enough spiritually to realize that she drove me into the arms of another woman with her demands and pressure to please her at the expense of my own happiness. Here's sort of an example of using your abilities for good or bad. She used her abilities for bad to catch me and then judge me rather than understand me and have compassion for me, because no one does things intentionally to hurt others unless they are already hurting and want to feel better with revenge. But at our core, we are all caring, loving people, and to judge another person's behavior and condemn them just sabotages and destroys everything. The point is to develop your psychic abilities not to protect yourself from getting hurt, but to develop your inner guidance and compassion and empathic abilities so you judge no one, because you know that anyone that acts like a royal dickhead is someone who is in pain and suffering, and so they are acting in nefarious ways, so to speak, to feel better than feeling the depression that they feel from feeling helpless, powerless, unworthy, not good enough, etc. Imagine how much better our policing, judging, court, prison, lawyer, etc. system would be if everyone was telepathic and could feel what the alleged perp was feeling. Imagine that as a cop or a lawyer or a judge, you could instantly know the history of this person, and you could feel their inner person, so to speak, that actually wants to be good, that just wants to be understood, just wants some compassion for what they've gone through, and empathy for their life and what's in their heads and all the crap they've had to deal with in life. And because everyone involved can see and feel that inner person who really wants to be a joyful, caring person, well, they receive counseling and support to help them achieve that, rather than just being abandoned and rejected and chucked away in prison and forgotten. What if, instead of just getting rid of the symptom by locking people up, we get to the root of the problem and help them fix it? We get to solutions rather than just kind of getting rid of the problem. The legislative system on Earth is just like allopathic medicine. No one treats the cause. They just cut out the symptoms. And you may say, wouldn't it be expensive to give all of the prisoners therapy? Well, of course it would, but how expensive is it to have, a million prisons all over the world to just get rid of the symptom of the problem? I haven't done the math, but I guarantee the cost of paying therapists would be a lot cheaper than the cost of prisons and every cost associated with supporting millions of prisoners, because then there'd be a whole lot less prisoners in prison, and we'd need a whole lot less prisons. Now, of course, I'm talking about a utopian kind of society where we actually care about everyone equally, but this kind of society is not an impossible fantasy. In fact, it is our next step as a civilization where there are no such thing as prisons. Whoa! Imagine that, will you? I know you can. Imagine there's no prisons. It's easy if you try. Imagine a world where you are trained in extrasensory powers as soon as you can walk and talk, and you are surrounded by parents and a society who are all communicating telepathically, so nothing is hidden. Everyone's thoughts are completely out in the open. And no one is ashamed of any thoughts that they may have, because no one judges your thoughts or judges you for them. Imagine that. And imagine, along with this mastery of telepathy, every individual has direct contact with their own source and the angels. So anytime you need guidance about something, well, it's right there for you 24/7. And imagine that you also have access to counselors that are immensely wise about all aspects of spirituality, relationship, money, manifesting what you want, etc. And everyone has free access to these extremely wise masters. Now, the purpose of this telepathy is not to try and control anything or anyone so you can get what you want and so that you can be happy, but mostly to guide yourself to the optimal path, but also to connect you to your soul family, which is literally every soul on earth, and connect you to your non-physical soul family, the angels, ascended masters, and the spiritual hierarchy of this planet and beyond, but also to connect you to the earth itself, and the Devic kingdom that is in charge of all life on planet Earth. The major problem that creates all drama on Earth is because typical humans are disconnected from their own inner guidance system. And they are disconnected from Source and the angels and the spiritual hierarchy and the ascended masters and the divas, etc., but also disconnected from each other. Most people feel alone and unsupported and misunderstood, and even though they may be surrounded by a ton of people, because they are disconnected telepathically. In a galactic human society, everyone is fully connected to everyone else. Every single soul you meet, you feel that they are your sister or brother from another mother. And everyone completely loves and supports every individual's divine sovereignty and unique divine expression. There is no desire for some sort of bastardized version of physical unity based upon looks or gender or color or nationality or culture or sexual identity or politics, etc., like what humans practice. There is instead real unity with everyone spiritually that has nothing to do with anything physical. We could refer to this as full consciousness, where you recognize your unity with all life and unity with the earth or whatever planet you happen to be on, and your local star nation, and your unity with the higher dimensional beings, the angels, archangels, spiritual hierarchy, ascended masters, etc. Humans competitively support their own nations over other nations in a ludicrous competition to prove superiority. But in a galactic human society, there is no such thing as competition or lesser than or failure or not good enough or superiority or inferiority, etc. Those concepts are primitive alien concepts in a fully conscious galactic human society where every individual feels connected to everyone on their planet and everyone on their inhabited planets in their respective solar system and beyond, as well as everyone physical and non-physical in their star nation and galaxy. I mean, imagine that, feeling connected to all of that, all of those beings. Imagine how the consciousness of humanity will change to a much broader galactic perspective when they realize that we are all in this together on this single planet, and we are all in this together in this single galaxy containing jillions of star systems, and we are all in this together in the universe with trillions of star systems and galaxies to infinity and beyond. A fully conscious human is one who truly functions as an earth angel, connected to and expressing oneself as an ascended angel would, with complete unconditional love and compassion. embodying the pure essence of love to help society and the earth flourish and grow. Their purpose is to carry out their sole purpose, their creative expression, as well as the divine plan. A fully conscious galactic human understands that he, she, it is both an active creator in the universe of creation, but also an integral part of that co-creation. In other words, you're a creator who is also acted upon by creation in a co-creative dance. Your desires create your own reality, but they also influence all reality. That is the essence of the flower of life, which represents this, what's behind me, which represents the splitting cells that creates all life and represents all of the individual cells or universes of reality of every soul intertwining as one whole. This is the master key that everyone is missing on planet Earth, which is the fact that we are all individuals, but we are all 100% connected on multi-dimensional levels. So when you judge one of those cells, you are judging yourself because they are part of you. And it never feels good to judge because who we all truly are as source never judges anyone or anything for any reason. And it only feels sort of a little bit empowering to judge when you feel helpless and unable to control a situation or unable to control unwanted behavior from other people, because judgment feels better than feeling helpless and powerless and feeling depressed. And it feels like you have, maybe a little modicum feeling of control when you judge others and feel superior to them. But imagine a society where there is no such thing as judgment or crime because every single individual is cared for 100%. Not one single individual anywhere is ever neglected or disregarded. And support of any kind is freely available to everyone. Spiritual support, educational support, creative support, artistic support, athletic support, financial support, etc. And that support is 100% always geared towards personal empowerment, not just taking care of people who are unable to take care of themselves, because no one is actually ever seen as invalid or helpless in any way in a galactic society. Everyone is seen as 100% empowered to create whatever they need and want, and everyone is supported to realize that and embody that and practice that and live that in their lives. Well, that civilization already exists on other planets, in other solar systems, such as the Sirius star system, the Pleiades, Andromeda, etc. And that civilization already exists vibrationally in the vibrational reality of planet Earth. That is our future, to become a galactic human civilization where we all look out for each other rather than fight about who's right and who's wrong and fight over resources and try to prove worthiness and the 1,000 other meaningless competitive bullshit that humans fight about because they don't recognize their immortal, infinite, unlimited divine nature and connection to all life and connection to each other. We are all on the same planet, like it or not. There's not currently any other planets we can kind of piss off to. We're stuck together, like it or not. And we can keep fighting over differences, or we can start embracing the beauty of our differences. We can either keep fighting over who's better, or we can finally recognize that we are all in this together, and regardless of differences, we are all the same as source. And that is the master key that will finally bring us together, recognizing our equal source nature of love, joy, well-being, abundance, and fulfillment. And that may seem 1,000 years off, considering society's penchant for conflict and competition and lack and etc. But that conflict addiction is only because it's trained behavior. We've all been trained to believe in conflict. The only reason people act like fuckwits on planet Earth is because they've been taught to act that way. That's the proper way to be, really. They haven't been taught anything different. But humanity's seemingly endless fascination with conflict does not take anything away from the fact that everyone is, in fact, pure, unconditional love and joy at the core of their being. At the core of everyone's being is 100% source. We are source expressing itself in each of our individual bodies, through us, as us. Which means it doesn't need to take another 1,000 years for humanity to realize its divinity. Anyone and everyone could remember their divinity instantly. And all it takes to remember is one little thing that tips them over the edge. Because deep down, everyone suspects the truth. But even if they don't, the truth is the truth. And when people get it, they have metaphorically taken the red pill and now see beyond the matrix. And the fact of the matter is, as Mulder's classic X-Files poster said, the truth is out there, and I want to believe. The information everyone needs for their wake-up call is freely available on the internet. The truth has been on my website for 25 plus years. Free! Zillions of articles, zillions of videos. That's how long I've been preaching the good word that everyone is God. Praise the Lord. I've been preaching that for so long, I can feel it in my bones. Praise the Lord. I didn't say Lord, this is law. And there were thousands more that came before me that told me that divine truth in the countless books and seminars that I have read and attended before there was ever such thing as the internet, where you actually had to go to seminars. One of those profound books that I found in the metaphysical section of the used bookstore on Hollywood Boulevard that I used to go to regularly, to the metaphysical section, was a book called 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson. And spoiler alert, on the last page, those 3 magic words were, drumroll please, I am God. And those are the same 3 magic words that humanity needs to understand. And without them, we are doomed to eternal conflict. Luckily, our planet is alive, and we are living on the back of a goddess. And this mother goddess has her own divine plan for a galactic human civilization. And that plan is also backed by the spiritual hierarchy in charge of this planet and our civilization. And that hierarchy of non-physical angels and ascended masters is backed by the Galactic Federation of Light. And our full awakening is inevitable and certain. It is the divine plan. And there is also a plan to facilitate that tipping point I spoke about, to humanity tipping over the edge. What has tipped humanity more and more towards the light, cooperation, and peace in the past has been, war. Because people are never more clear that they want peace when there is war. And current conflicts on planet Earth are just the last-ditch efforts of humanity to get it, all of that bullshit, competition, control, etc., out of their system, so that they are well and truly done with war and playing the games of who's right, who's better, who's superior, who's inferior, etc., and well and truly done with basic conflict over just meaningless crap. I know I'm certainly bored with it, that's for damn sure. Yes, it's fun to imagine vanquishing your enemies when you feel helpless and powerless to control uncontrollable people, countries, and situations. But as soon as you recognize your personal power to create your own reality, and you recognize that everyone else has the same unlimited power of creation, well then there are no enemies to conquer and defeat, because no one has the power to inflict their misguided ideals upon you, unless, of course, you attract them. So war and focusing on unwanted things becomes pointless and no fun. Our only power of influence is our own life. Yes, you can stand on a soapbox in the public square and preach the good word that everyone is God, or the modern day equivalent of that of making videos and posts spouting your sermon that everyone is God. And the ones that are ready will find you and listen and maybe get it. But even more powerfully is the influential example of your own joyful, abundant, blessed life. In other words, practice what you preach. Live and breathe the fact that you are God's source in a human body by being unconditionally loving in nature. That means you've got to act like your source does, which is 100% unconditional love. That means you can't play the blame, judgment, and victim games anymore. You can't play the game that there's this lie called assertion, and bad guys can assert their will upon you without your will. You can only play the game of total global empowerment. That's the only game you're allowed to play. You've got to be a galactic human now, as if you're already a full-fledged member of the Galactic Federation of Love and Light. Regardless of the big wars or little wars against unwanted things that humanity still wages, regardless of humanity's delusion that they are faulty, sinful, unworthy, powerless humans, regardless of the lies and deceit in all of the limitations humanity is addicted to, regardless of all the conspiracies and corruption, etc., you've got to see love, joy, and peace. Regardless of the disempowerment, you've got to see empowerment. Regardless of the lack and scarcity, you've got to see prosperity and abundance. Regardless of the ugliness, you've got to see beauty. You don't have to try and make ugly things somehow be beautiful and somehow love unlovable things. No, your job is to pay no attention to the ugly, unwanted, unlovable crap and just focus your attention upon the beautiful things that are easy to like, love, and appreciate, to energize and create more of those things. Humanity has it completely wrong. They erroneously believe in the lie of assertion. So they believe that they must get rid of everything that is unwanted, so that what will be left will be the good wanted things. But that is completely, totally, and utterly wrong. You can't get rid of unwanted things in an attraction-based universe, because your attention upon unwanted things attracts more unwanted things that you've got to try to get rid of. The only way to create what you want is to 100% focus on what you want and pay no attention upon what you don't want. That's your only creative influence over what happens globally on planet Earth. Lead with the influence of your unlimited, joyful, and abundant life. And associate with like-minded and like-hearted soul bro stars and sis stars. And do ceremony together to raise your vibrations so it raises so high that your light just shines so brightly that it's impossible to miss. And it's impossible not to influence humanity to wake up already. But you've got to not care if they wake up or not, so that you can be happy. Because you're happy regardless of what anyone else is doing. You got to be unconditionally happy, not conditionally happy. And everyone is on their own journey, and it is still valuable for people to fight like spoiled children to gain clarity about what they want and gain valuable spiritual insights from them. And then your other most powerful influence of them all is having fun. So your fun and joy helps others remember that their purpose in life is also joy and to have fun. That they came here for the joy of easy and fun creation, of turning their thoughts and desires and dreams into physical reality for the joy and fun of it. Not struggle, hard work, and sacrifice to prove worthiness to an insecure God who needs therapy. And lastly, don't hold your breath because the plan has been in the works for literally 100 plus years, but maybe, just maybe, one day, the Galactic Federation and the Ashtar Command and all of the unified star nations and their hundreds of thousands of spaceships and millions of extraterrestrials will finally get off their lazy asses and land already, instead of just dicking around and teasing humanity with UFO sightings and crop formations and freaking land already. I mean, all that stuff is fun, okay. And mark my words, one day it's going to happen. It is 100% the divine plan. And it's going to shake the proverbial shit out of humanity when it does happen. Instead of a mutual enemy to hate that brings us together from the classic old school war, we'll have mutual friends to love that brings us together. And the realization that we're an entire planet, not just a country or community or race or religion, etc. And we're all in this together. But as you can imagine, this is a huge production. Planning this mass landing and then everything associated with that post-landing is like planning the biggest party on Earth, because they will need literally hundreds of thousands of ground crew counselors to give humanity therapy and assuage their fears. I'm personally hoping to clean up financially from that, because everyone will be asking me for my divine guidance, and of course I'll charge $1,000 an hour for this invaluable guidance and laugh all the way to the bank. Just kidding, of course. No, I'll only charge $500 an hour. No, just kidding again. I'll be so busy doing online seminars that I can just ask for donations, and people will actually donate lots of money because they will feel very prosperous. But regardless of my personal financial benefits of a mass landing, it's going to change everything, because everyone will finally realize what is really important in life and what is bogus bullshit. Anyway, back to the title of this vodcast, Future Earth 4, Telepathic Society. Once everyone gets over their shock and amazement that we are not alone in the universe, and I am through saying, duh, hello, how long have I been telling you all that? Ding dong, is anyone home? I've been ringing your doorbell for 25 plus years, but did anyone answer? Well, some people did, thanks be to those bro stars and sis stars who have supported my insane rantings for all those decades. God bless you all. But now that the smoke has cleared, now we can start to have some freaking fun already. Another thing I've been preaching from my soapbox for 30 plus years. And now we can start developing our telepathic powers. Now we can develop our self-guidance powers. Now we can develop our creative powers. We will then have light centers for this purpose all over the planet. Finally, our light centers can succeed financially because people will finally value spiritual development more than getting drunk and high and getting laid. Well, I'm personally hoping that the getting laid part gets even more steam and gets better and more frequent, but I digress just a little bit. Now with support from our ET brothers and sisters, we can get busy being gods and goddesses. We can get busy connecting telepathically. We can practice moving things with our minds and teleporting our bodies to other parts of the world. which is going to be nice so we no longer have to get scanned for guns and fruit at the airport. And we will all be practicing channeling our own source selves and the ascended masters and angels. And some people who win the cosmic lottery will go up in the ships and visit other star systems. And I'm hoping I'm on the top of that list because I'm so freaking enlightened. But even if they don't recognize my awesomeness, and that would be impossible, of course. Anyway, and I finally get to visit Zatar 7. Well, we're all going to be having an absolute ball anyway, especially because we're all going to be filled with so much love that every day will be love-gasmic. Because regardless of how technologically advanced our ET bros and sisses are, they are most importantly advanced in the art of love and spirit. And as the Beatles said, love is all you need. Love is all you need. And when humanity realizes that, well, boy, is life going to be fun. You'll be able to travel anywhere, and people will be inviting you to stay with them and have dinner with them everywhere you go. And they will show you around their villages and the countryside, and you'll be building eventually loving friendships everywhere you go because no one will be afraid of being vulnerable and reaching out and being loving and caring. Everyone will live in a state of surrender and allowance. Allowance in our love, joy, and divine power will be the order of every single day. Singing and dancing and acting and creating art and inventing new innovations and amazing products and technologies and healing systems will be the average order of every day. And we will have access to extraterrestrial healing technologies to get us back to our fully realized state of awareness of health, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, with full activation of our 12-strand DNA and our new 13-chakra system, as well as growing and expanding our physical glands for optimal health and full longevity, which will facilitate a situation where we can live, 1,000 years, not a measly, piddly-ass 100 years. And everyone will be amazed at how enlightened, so to speak, they all already are, but just didn't know it because there was no playground set aside for their psychic and spiritual development. Everyone was just kind of thrown in on the conveyor belt, so to speak. Many years ago, I was a massage therapist and healer, and I was teaching little classes on meditation and so forth at a light center in a place called Coffs Harbour, Australia. And a lady who did psychic readings, who was the directoress of our little center, conducted a psychic development class. And she guided us through many different practices to discover and develop our psychic abilities. And of course, I was completely open to everything and anything on a psychic level, as I had already dedicated a great deal of my life to spiritual development, but I'd never been to a psychic development course. And I was amazed at how psychic I already was without even knowing it, especially when one of the psychic development exercises was to bring into class something personal, like a necklace or crystal or whatever. And then these items were put in the middle, and we were asked to grab an item that wasn't ours. And then we got together with one-on-one with whoever owned that item. And we were to just tune in and then tell them where, they got this item or any special meaning associated with it, or, who gave it to them, or whatever we were receiving about them inspired by this item. And I was spot on, 100%. I could see where she found the item. She found it was, and I intuitively knew its meaning and importance to her and her life. I can't remember the details, but we were both amazed about how accurate I was, especially since I did not know this person at all and had never really played around with my psychic abilities at all. The point is, if you start playing with your psychic abilities, I guarantee you'll be blown away as to how good you already are. You just don't know it because you haven't had to play with it, because you're already using your psychic abilities right now, just mostly unconsciously. And the absolute key to developing your psychic and telepathic abilities is the same magic key for absolutely everything spiritually, which is surrender and allowance. You got to go within and tune in to your unlimited source nature that can literally do anything, which of course includes telepathic communication and psychic knowing, where you just seemingly magically know something even though there's no logical reason why you should know it. Psychic abilities are a big deal to us typical humans because it seems like only a few people have developed it or were born with it. But telepathy is something everyone has and will eventually be doing all the time naturally and easily until it becomes average and really no big deal. So we're going to have a lot of fun together in the light centers practicing our clairvoyance and clairaudience and clairsentience and telekinetic abilities, and everyone will have their own specialization that seems to be easier for them and that inspires them the most, and some will be more open to translating spiritual energies through words and teachings, while others will translate these higher dimensional frequencies through art or music or dance or science. I could go on and on about the fun stuff we're going to do together and create together and invent together, but suffice it to say, we're going to have an absolute ball, and we'll have tons of support from the ET counselors and teachers. But until then, we don't have to wait for mass landings and ET teachers. We can start having fun playing spiritually and telepathically and psychically right now. So I hope to see you at the light centers around the world, because the internet is great. We can do great stuff in the comfort of our own homes, but there's nothing like direct communion and physical and psychic connection and doing ceremony together. There's nothing like being physically, spiritually, and sensually connected in joy, love, and ceremony, as well as song and dance and channeling higher dimensional frequencies together, and doing toning and light language together, and playing with sacred geometry together. So let's have fun. Let's have fun together, shall we? Let's co-create heaven on earth together. Contact me now through the links in this vodcast, and let's create some fun stuff together. Let's create some awesome seminars. Let's create some awesome ceremonies together. Let's travel together. Let's play together. So keep your eyes on the skies, but remember, you're the prize. You're an unlimited immortal source master of infinite love, joy, and abundance. And it's time to consciously and actively live as that unlimited master you truly are, whether the ETs ever land or not. Let's play and let's have fun, which is why we came to planet Earth in the first place. So I hope you have enjoyed my vodcast, Future Earth for Telepathic Galactic Human Society, and has helped you to remember and activate and be the psychic galactic human that you truly are, and it gets you ready for the fun and empowering times ahead. And it helps you reconnect to your psychic, telepathic, and spiritually creative power, to a point where for you, being tuned in and telepathic is just an average part of your life, and not some extraordinary mystical power, because you know these are powers available to absolutely everyone, not the blessed few, not the talented few. And it helps you reach out to like-minded and like-hearted soul family to co-create fun stuff together and just have fun and more fun and more fun in your life. So if you did enjoy this podcast, and how could you not? It was amazing. Please share it with your friends. Bless them with these amazing teachings. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, pretty please, and my podcast channel, The Master Keys of Creation. Come visit me at ZaKaiRan.com for tons more self-empowering goodies to help you become a conscious, deliberate creator of reality, to literally make all your dreams come true. My name is ZaKaiRan, and I'm here to help you remember that you are an unlimited master of divine creation, and you have the power and the freedom to create the joy, love, well-being, and abundance you desire, and have a ton of fun down here on planet Earth in your body. Thanks again for watching my video or listening to this podcast, and I wish you immense joy and abundance on your magnificent journey of divine creation. And of course, remember to make life a holiday. Woohoo!